Greetings, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. I'm my buddy Rhett. I've got her nut for her. There that goes. We're doing that. And here, writing some code. I see that my sound mic is improperly placed right next to my mouth, and that the sound seems to be getting recorded. So that's good. We've been working on, and we're right at the end of finishing a new feature. We're basically just needed to add some, what do you call it? Like, where it just changes, right? Where it automatically resizes. So basically when you do this, yeah, this thing should automatically resize. Now in that last application I had said early on, oh, I'm not going to get this implemented yet because it's easy to implement, and eventually I'll get to it. I worked on that whole application for a whole year and never did get that implemented. And it was very annoying, especially at the end when I was trying to wrap up and just try to finish off some quick things for the next year. This application, it is November 28th, 2025. I cannot see any reason why I wouldn't just continue on this application. That application, I had some issue. I was building some incredibly cool stuff, but I had some issues that with maintainability that just made it impossible. Yesterday I was living the dream. We had worked on this feature for either 6 or 7 episodes, right, sessions, and I had found that it was taking me at least as much time to do the session, to write unit tests to get 100% coverage as it was to do the actual feature itself. And so it was great that we were able to go away from that and go to it only took one session, and at least half that session I was just sort of droning on. So like a lot of the session was waiting for the unit tests to come up. I have on many occasions had written unit tests, gotten everything to where I thought they needed to be so that I could actually, do a PR, push the code into for a pull request, or sometimes it's PR stands for pull request. It's like you're requesting that they pull your code into the main code, and sometimes people call it a peer review, and that's for people who are at the same level as you to sort of take a look and give you advice and ask for fixes. Probably the least pleasant part of being a productive software developer. But many times I've gotten the unit tests where they needed to be, and then shut everything down, brought it up the next day, and it wasn't working. And I've seen so many people push code that wasn't working. Broken unit tests. They push it out. They're like, I swear it was working on my computer, and now it's not working. And then many times pull requests will work on like on your local machine with like this, but then when you go and push it into other things, it won't. Let me get this phone call real quick. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm on my show. What's up, man?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Hike at 2?
2 o'clock. That's in 3 hours? Yeah, that sounds good.
Alright, cool. Love you.
Love you too. Oh, no worries. But everyone could hear you, which is fine, because only 2 people watch my videos anyways.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too. Bye. Anyways, for you 2 people that watch my video, that was my son. And yesterday was Thanksgiving, and he hosted it at his house, which he has put his foot down. He said if we want to see our granddaughter on Thanksgiving, we have to go to his house, which is just an absolute pleasure. But we had a lot of family there. We had like at least 12 or 13 people there, and it was so fun. We had a fantastic time, and we all brought stuff, so it's kind of a potluck. But then they did provide the turkey and and drinks and stuff like that. So it was a cool time. And then we watched one of my favorite movies afterwards, and it is called 12 Monkeys. It was made in, I believe it's in 1994, and it's got two amazing actors in it, Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt. And it is a movie about time travel and how weird things get when you have possession of certain pieces of information of knowledge, and then other people don't have that. They have possession of other pieces of knowledge, and when they all put it together, how crazy the different ideas are that people come up with. Anyways, it looks like we are living the dream here, and we actually were able to create a unit test in one day. So the next step is, and I guess no, we have not committed this, so, and this is going to be video. Drum roll, please. 319. So, let's see. Hit the up button so I can see if I can get an old video. 319. Unit tests for, I guess making that, no, I think update makes sense. Maybe a little arrow for update feature, code commit. I think that's a good commit. Oh, I do that all the time, get add. I guess before we do our ad, we should do a look. It's good discipline. In the spec, I'm literally just looking for anything that just doesn't pass just the most thing. I guess when we did change this, we changed it to, well, this was a spelling fix. So let's add that one, and then this is a spec. So unless there's something really crazy in here, I'm probably going to accept it. I probably just don't want more. I want to make sure I don't put any console logs in. There we go. And there's another spec. And then we just added a return to this. That was it. And it was just so we'd have something to test on. And that is that. Hit the up button. We're going to commit this. I think we're trying not to push until the final super commit of the end-to-end test. So npm. Let's go back to our package. So Control P, P-A-C-K, package. We only have one package. I work on so many projects where we have maybe even like 10 or 12. I think my main project that I work on at work has like 12 package files. I wouldn't swear to that, but I think that is what we have. So we have our, whenever we open package, we always close all others, and then Cypress open. So we could run Cypress run, and that goes a little faster, and it just tells you if anything. So yeah, let's run Cypress run first. I believe that happens faster. And then that'll tell us if we have any existing unit tests or end-to-end tests that are failing. I do think I am starting to become sold on unit tests. But I do think that unit tests are a tool that, like, if you choose to use it, you probably have about a 9 out of 10 chance of doing it in a completely unproductive way, constraining way that is going to screw up your project. So it is such a dangerous tool. It's like a fire or a knife or something like that. It just, like, you need to be real careful when you're doing unit tests. Cypress end-to-end tests, I don't think are that. I think that is like a value add. It always benefits you. I know it. It's taking forever for the Cypress test to run. Yeah. No, it'll be nice when it runs. So, that's why I'm rambling. Missing base URL in compiler options. tsconfig paths will be skipped. Interesting. Oh, I feel like I've never even seen that before. It's probably been in front of my face 1,000 times and never seen it before. I know. I know, Rhett. I know. Here we go. Let's run the first one. Oh, one home. I love you too. Man, this is just so slow. I think the first test is always very, very slow, though. I really wish I'd have just done open. Let's play this out. The reason, like, I think if this had just passed home page, should load the page. Okay, so now we're good. Now we're cooking. Okay, so this is O2 viz CY viz component passed. Viz spacing. This is one where I see get this. You end up spending like a whole freaking 2 or 3 sprints getting all the keyboarding all right, and then 2 sprints later it's completely broken. It breaks all the time if you move anything around. You know, independent it can be, and that's where you know end-to-end tests really shine for that. All right, Resize. This is the one we're going to update. Is Resize. Okay, that one passed. Reflow. I think reflow is the one that broke before. No, it was delete that broke before. And it only broke because the order of things changed. So it wasn't like a breakage for the end user. It was a test breakage. And that's always like an interesting debate. You know, like, are you updating the test so that it now passes? Because you don't really always want to do that. Or are you going to update the application so that it passes? And putting things in the order we want at this point, I don't think is worth the overhead. I don't think it brings any value whatsoever. Routing. So it looks like everything's passing. And Rhett is tired of this. You want to see something? I think Rhett actually genuinely enjoys watching things change on the screen. Is that what you want to see? You want to see that, Rhett? She watches TV like you wouldn't believe. Look at that, Rhett. Look how cool that is. Oh, do you want to watch this one? That's... Oh, okay. So that was good. So I'm going to say open instead of run. So let's look at this one that's moving this way. Look at that, Rhett. Isn't that cool? It'll be so nice when we can actually change the spacing, you know, because it's cool how there's only one there. If we were to pause it, we would only see one. You don't, but my eye shows me multiple squares sort of stacked up on each other. So, hey, Rat. Hey, Rat. Hey, Rat. Chrome. Starting to default to Electron. It didn't used to default to Electron, so that is a new thing. I'm sure they work so hard on keeping that Electron going, so I can see why they would want to kind of encourage use of that one. So Resize, I think this is the one we want. And I just can't even begin to explain how absolutely amazing this Cypress test suite is. But you do have to know JavaScript. And not only that, but like JavaScript in Cypress, it behaves a little bit different than JavaScript in other things. But that is not, there's nothing unusual about that. JavaScript in Node, it works in many ways very differently than JavaScript in what's the other one? Like on the browser. It looks totally different. All right. The reason I got kind of caught up is because it would be so easy to get it to work in update. To just tweak update to capture this feature. But from a maintenance perspective, it's probably better if it's in Resize, so that, you know, we're like, in the future, if we're like, oh, is Resize working? We'll know to run the Resize one because it's called Resize. But I don't even think, there's no point in Resize that we even go into update. I believe we do go into table. Pretty sure. Here, let's just run it again. And I'm just trying to think, since I haven't done a whole lot of this kind of thing, it's not. Well, yeah, I guess it doesn't even go to table because, oh yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah, CY table rows. I wish this 73 was the actual line number, but I think it ignores comments. All right, so we know we look for table underscore rows icon. So now let's go over to Cypress. Oop, wrong one. Close everything except for Cypress. We don't need to worry about coverage anymore. And there, we put a lot of work, 7 sessions of work into resizing this thing. There's a very good chance that one line of code that we write in the future will break that. And we might be thinking about something like the next thing I'm going to do is do an update to the next version of Angular. And when I do that upgrade, it could break. And if it does, I'm not going to want to, if it does break, I want to catch that. Like there could be some little thing in Angular that makes me change some code, and that little code might seem like it doesn't do anything, and then it could break that. Or it could break keyboarding, or who knows. So that's why this is so important to me. And this thing has caught issues. I think it's in EDE, and then Resize is the one we want. And I guess we want to, oh, we only have one test. Man, a lot of stuff happens in there for the one test. All right. I cannot remember how you passes. I'm going to change this to Resizes. Resize for custom view. Because that's really all it does. And then this is going to test Resize for update view. Just make sure that I didn't break anything. I cannot see how that could have possibly broken anything. But I'm constantly being proven wrong when I say those words. Resize is for custom view, resize for update view. And then I'm just going to put an X in front of this one so that it skips this test for now, just so we can focus on the new test. And I'm going to save that, and it should redraw everything. And then I think I'm going to just comment everything out after this, and we'll just kind of slowly uncomment. This is new for me, right? This is absolutely new for me, so I don't know exactly how this is going to work. And this does feel like one that might take multiple sessions, so this might be an example where for the first time okay, so for please count. Okay, so we only want to count 1 for this test. So basically, it's just going to click it 1 time. I don't think there's any value to adding 2, but I do think that in the future it might be useful. Okay, so I know I forgot. I like to have this there and this there when we're doing this work. Okay, so now we want to get the bodies. Okay, so I think this used to close the menu, but that does not work anymore because we changed the way close works. So we want to close the menu. I wonder who. Well, basically all we want to do is get at menu and click it. That will close. I believe that will close the menu. So let's just put that there. So it used to be with Angular Material, we had a menu that would pop up, and then you could click on the body and it would close of the screen. The problem is leaving massive numbers of detached nodes. And I went through a whole detached nodes thing, and actually that's going to be the next thing after the upgrade is more of a trying to get the recycling IDs working, which is no fun because we don't add a new feature. You don't really get to see anything. You just we're just going to be deep diving into the guts of this thing to get the IDs to recycle, so that when you create something and then so it did close it. When you create one of these guys and then you delete it and then you create it again, you start at the first ID again, as opposed to, I think right now you end up at 12. Okay. Okay, so then I think I think the menu is in fact still probably selected. So if you click on the body, that will just deselect the menu. I'm glad I added those comments. Okay. So now we want to click on this thing. We want to click on this click apps icon click. I think that will open the other one. And for some reason I have added a wait time, and I'm guessing the wait time was there for us to watch, just so we can have time. So we have 2 seconds to see what's happening. So, and that, I think that will be helpful, because what we'll have is, because we're going to be in the table view at this point, and then we're going to want to, but I think I only want I think 1 second is plenty. So I want to see it go to the table, not just immediately go to the update, or not immediately, yeah, to the update. The problem is that this is what's probably taking all the time, these wait times in that other view, so it is kind of a pain. Maybe we could add some code in the future where we set the wait time to a lower number, to 0, if we're not in watching view, if we're not in this view. All right, so we want to go to the update, and I don't know exactly how to do it. I know we have to select this thing, and I know that we probably already have some code in here for that. Update viz button, yeah, so. It says get a list of delete buttons and click the second one, but this is wrong. I think this is supposed to be update buttons. And I think we expect one of them. So let's go expected update viz count. Oh, and then we click it, and then we expect the location to be here. So we'll move this code over here. I feel like this is so much more fun. And it is funny because this has made Rhett happier. When we were just waiting for the test to build up, you could just tell she was annoyed. She might have just been clicking off of me. Okay, so that's good. So now we want to resize the canvas, which I think we do. So I think that's what this line does. So there is overlap, right? Like here we're testing the update. And see how we have an update of 1? I want to be able to delete it, come back in here, add a new one, come back in here, and it'd be updated 1. But I believe if you were to do that now, so this is one of the cool things about this, and you hit delete, and then let's say we add a new one, and we come in here and we go to update. See, we're at update 12. That should be update 1. And honestly, we haven't been able to even see, until we implemented update, we couldn't even see that, so there would have been no good way to test it back then. But anyways, so now we want to get basically 12. Guess what, let's go to half the size. Let's see if we can do that. So it's, I think this is the width and height. So I think it's 1024 wide and 800 tall. And now let's see what we get here. Yeah. Now, one thing that we did find that is the aspect ratio of the actual thing is broken here. It should still be a square. So we actually found a bug. I'm not going to fix this bug as part of this, but
Good morning.
okay, so there's a bug here.
Love you, sweet.
Here, I love you too. Just gonna, there's a bug here. Aspect ratio. See, it's weird because I feel like when we were testing this in the real application, it was working.
You ready?
Yeah, see, it is working. In this scenario,
Marty? You're what?
so for some reason in Cypress, we're not getting the same result. And you see that our aspect ratio actually changed here in this, but for some reason,
Marty?
and see now it's right, the aspect ratio is correct. But it's not updating, but it's only not updating. Oh, it could be a timing thing though, because it is over. So like we never even, yeah, like the test is over, so I don't know, maybe JavaScript didn't update it. I don't know. Here, let's just. See, we have an ARCY that probably would be the right place to test that. Yeah, see, it's not.
Love you.
Okay, so anyways, let's go ahead and okay, calculated aspect. Okay, there. Oh, so it is actually catching it that the aspect ratio should be 1.24, but the calculated aspect ratio is 3.033, which is weird. It's weird that that is not. But like if we look over here, they are in sync. They're not quite in sync. Aspect ratio should be 0.95, and it's 9.4, and the actual is 9.4. So it never did get a chance to calculate it, and yeah, I don't know what that's about. Okay, so not quite. At the end of the test, I'll check. So what I'm curious at this point is the canvas's width, I guess. I think the canvas's width is 500 by 524.
Are you in the order? Good morning.
This thing is 500.
Really wrong.
I feel like it should be 512, which is the width we set it to. But for some reason, I feel like let's add a weight. I'm just curious if we add our weight time. Because it exists, so. that's weird. So even here, it is off by a little bit. I guess that's where we were looking. We weren't looking in this one. So it is off by a little bit. It's not exactly right. What else if we do the update one? Does the update one ever resize? No. What about the AR one? So this is where we would probably test to make sure that the aspect ratio is correct when a resize happens. That is going to be a bug though, and I guess we'll test it when we work on that bug. That bug is a little bit farther down the line. And honestly, we might end up fixing that bug as a side effect of when we fix the updates. So, but anyways, I want to make sure. The one thing is weird is that we aren't getting the actual update, and I'm sure it's probably the timing thing or something like that. I don't know, but okay. So can we check the canvas width?
Love you. Right.
So app viz. So let's get the app viz. I believe that is the actual visibility visualization.
Go on now, that's it. Go on.
Semicolon.
Good boy.
It's been a minute. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just mouse over this thing.
Come on
I
now.
mean, by no means any kind of export
Go.
on this stuff. I guess we click that open. Okay. So you see that the app viz didn't get out there. And I would expect it to be 512. So this might actually be broken. This may not be a completely done feature because I think this should be 512. We expect its width to be 512.
What?
Equal 0? Is it 0 or 1?
Right now.
And then it should have a width.
Go on now, here. Go on.
How do we check the width?
Good granny.
See, the width doesn't change. Should have CSS. And I think it's going to be width, right? The app viz. Okay, so that app viz isn't the one. It's the data CY visualization.
What?
Maybe I can do that. So apparently somewhere I actually do a query on the visualization, and we probably do that in here. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get. Okay, but that's not the one we get, but. Let me hit the back button. This is the first time the unit tests were just so much easier for me than the end-to-end tests. I mean, which is actually bizarre because I have so much more experience in.
You want another order? Go.
And then, but it's not add button, it is visualization.
Go on.
So CY stands for Cypress, not like Y position.
All right, go on.
So what I'm curious about is so like in this situation, right, let's see, inspect. Oh, you can't see, sorry. So we have a width of 500, but the viewport's width,
Hello.
oh,
Murray?
width of 500.
Are you there?
500. And I guess the whole viewport's width. So it should be the same as the viewport width. So, and it is a style, right? So, and
Hello.
it's width, we want the width to be the same.
Murray, go.
So, oof. Did I paste that? Let's see. I can't remember if I put that into the clipboard. Nope. Okay.
What?
Let's go back over to here. And I don't know what.
Go away.
I guess it was open. That's why it was red. Okay, this is not the right one. Maybe it's in Resize. Did we get like the top? Oh, Resize is what we're in. Update.
Are you ready?
Somewhere we saw. It's got to be in Viz. Where we take a CY. We take the CSS and we check it.
Murray.
Yeah, there we
Go
go.
in there, down there. Go in there. Murray.
So we want something along these lines here.
You little rat.
Control V.
Murray.
Okay, so this one should fail, but we want it to be. Let's go back over here. I can't believe I can't remember it. Width, yeah. Width to be equal to 512.
Well, we could have brought that. Well, that right.
But it actually got the value of 497. So it is like smaller. So like it's definitely doing something different than, for some reason, than that. But this one is failing, and I want it to fail. And this has found a bug, but it's a bug that I don't want to fix right now. Okay, so I'm going to say this is a known bug. And I don't even know if this is a good idea. I like literally have just started. This is the first project I've ever worked with Cypress on. And I don't know about the general, like I don't think this is feasible in a professional environment because you really want the Cypress test to pass so they can validate that it should go to production. But I want to use this test in a different way. It's like to remember that I have a bug of some kind that is not really perceptible to the user. Like the user can't see this bug, but it is a bug, right? Like these are the kinds of things that you can get into arguments for hours on end, right? Because if I go like this, we are not having that same issue, right? And I go back down to here. I mean, it might be off. It's off by a little bit, but it's definitely not. It's definitely not right. These should match up. So for some reason, they calculate like these are, but it's not bad for the user. It's not bad for me, and I think there's a possibility. This is a known bug. Known bug. It's not really perceptible. To the user, but it needs to be fixed. Also, when it is fixed, we need to add a test to 200 AR.cy.ts to ensure that the aspect ratio is eventually calculated correctly. Correct. Let's do that. So basically, we have that bug. That is a bug. It's a known bug. We need to fix it. If we don't fix, I mean, you know, but this is not the time to fix it, because I would rather just get this feature out and done and checked in, and move on to doing the upgrade, the Angular upgrade, and then move on to getting this thing fixed properly. And then once that's done, that is because we don't have. There probably isn't one. So if I go like this, okay, that is bizarre. What happened? See, it's right when you come in, it figures it out. But if you then do a resize, so like right here, if I go like this, and then I think it's this one that we're updating, go like that, and then go back into that. See, now it's all perfect. But then if I do a resize, it's close, but it's not perfect. And this has got to be like a timing issue. And it's probably because this, yeah, the value is for the actual drawing is only happening once every 60 times per second, but this is happening 200, 300, 400, 200 plus times a second, and so there's a bit of a mismatch there, and so yeah, that's just something we're gonna have to work out. Like basically, it's the difference between throttling and debouncing. And debouncing says, hey, make sure that you do one last one at the end, just in case the last time you updated and they stopped, there hasn't been a change since the last time you did an update. So we'll have to figure that out. That should be fun and interesting, but I think this is good enough for this feature, so we can be done and we can start working on the upgrade, because I think the upgrade is more important than this. And then honestly, we shouldn't have even been working on this, because we were supposed to get the number counting, the recycled IDs done before we worked on this. But you know, I accidentally started. We'd gone down some rabbit hole, fixed the rabbit hole, and then fixed whatever was in the rabbit hole and forgot the original mission. But I was sick of that freaking problem. So I'll be glad to. It was nice to take a little break from that. But anyways, let's just go ahead and commit this stuff. We have a broken thing that probably would not be feasible. That would not be a reasonable thing to do in a production environment, because you know, you really don't want broken tests. So like, I probably, if I had to do this if like management decided, no, yes, it's off. We understand it's off a little bit sometimes. There is a workaround. They can click back through and get it exactly right if they need it exactly right. And we want to just put this in the backlog and fix it when at a future date. And that is reasonable for management. I would probably make that does not have, or whatever, however you say not have with or of that. Or maybe I would probably comment this and then say, hey, you know, in the future when we fix that, and even put the bug number in there, then this should pass after that. And it might even make sense to write the Cypress test for the aspect ratio as well. And that is really neat if you think about it, because that is in fact test-driven development. We have the tests. We know exactly what tests should pass. Very, very high confidence that that we understand the test, and in the future when someone picks it up, they'll be able to come in here, uncomment the test out, and test and get it. But I will get a nasty reminder every time I try to run this because it's going to fail my resize test, as it should. Anyway, so that's that, and let's go ahead and do our commit. And this is our super commit. And I do like that, the way this worked a lot better. Yeah, those comments are reasonable. Oh, I do not want this one though. And is that name of that test? Does that make sense? Yeah, for update view. Okay. So let's go ahead and add that. And get. And that's still Cypress tests. Wow, 2 commits for the same video. That doesn't happen. Update resize feature. And then I guess we want to like maybe have like a little some sort of indicator like this is a super commit. Maybe this. So a super commit is a commit that I believe you can go to, and when you do it, you can we'll do the hashtag. Is a commit that you can go to, and when you and you should be able to end the system work. So I would not go to one that is not a super commit. If you're gonna pull a commit to just play around with and use, it should be a super commit. You shouldn't, so that you can roll back to. This is a commit that you would roll back to if you wrote a bunch of code and then you're like, you know what, I just want to go back to my initial state. This is one of that's what this is supposed to be for. And now we'll do our push. And just for the sake of curiosity, control package, just it's always good for me to get some sense of what is next. So close others. Oh, save. Dang it. What is the save? Ah. Okay, this is just a video 319. This one I don't care, right? Like, who cares? Typo in a comment. And git push. Alright, so that one is in the rear view mirror. Okay, so we are, we're on Angular 20. I believe the latest version of Angular is Angular 21. What is the most current version of Angular? November released. It was released. Yeah, Angular 21. Okay. Sometimes I've been like, there have been a few times that I have thought that I had done one and I hadn't. Because there's a ton of them. Now, one thing I do know about Angular updates is we are going to want to create a new branch for this Angular, like an Angular getting started Angular 21 branch, because it makes you do commits and stuff like that. And if you decide, oh shoot, I do not want to do this, like I made some decisions. See, like when you do an update, upgrade, you would think all you're doing is upgrade, but you don't. You make a whole bunch of decisions, and many times you'll make a decision that you regret. Like before you finish your upgrade up, you're like, oh dang, I should have done this, or I should have done that, and you just want to go back. But it forces you to do commits, so you don't really want that on the same branch that you're currently working. It's just better to have that in another branch. So I will definitely want to create like a getting started Angular 21 upgrade branch, and then do the first thing, and then it makes you commit. Usually, typically, it'll update your package file and do some npm installs and stuff like that, and then modify some code, do some things like, or yeah, well, and then usually it wants you to do something with the CLI, and then in the CLI you'll want to upgrade. But let's just get it. I want to upgrade. Update my Angular 20. Application to Angular 21. Okay, so this is the basic approach that you want to take. Now, a couple things. Update types in Node if required. Okay, it's so weird that you would think. I don't know. So upgrading Node and all that is that. So we want to look at our Node, and I think it's npm node dash v. Node dash v. Okay, so I have Node 20.19, so it looks like I'm okay. Now TypeScript is this one, so it looks like we're okay on TypeScript too. Now the problem with TypeScript is that I've run into, and I genuinely regret bringing Cypress in at the same time, because Cypress also has a version of TypeScript that it needs, and so having these in the same project, npm project, was a mistake. I should have done them in separate. Sooner or later, this is going to bite me in the butt, and I'm going to have to pull Cypress out and put it into its own, probably its own, give it its own package file and everything. But so far, I haven't had to do that. Now, it's so funny because it's saying I can do this, tsc-v. So when I do TS, okay, so that is interesting. Okay, and then RxJS, we were looking here. We have 7.8, and it looks like we're okay on that. When you have to upgrade RxJS, that's quite often a huge nightmare too. So I'm curious, because when I type tsc -v, I get 4.62. Oh my gosh. Okay, so when I type tsc-v, my command line, it shows version 4.6.2, but when but in my package .json, it shows TypeScript So basically what I'm pointing out here is that globally TypeScript is installed on my machine. I don't know how it got installed. Who knows? I've been using this machine a couple years now, and all that. But the global version is 4.62. But my version in this project, which is in my node modules, somehow it's that code for that handles that is in my node modules is 5.83. Do not think that's a problem. I think that the node modules is the one that matters, not the globally installed. Have to match your local. Oh, you're seeing different versions? Okay, so that's good. This is, but only when you run Angular commands. Okay, so it's gonna ignore it, so. Okay. So, it's okay to ignore global TS for the sake of this effort. Okay, now that's the thing is, so we talked about three things here. We talked about RX, JS, and the rule. RxJS. We talked about TypeScript, and we talked about Node. The TypeScript doesn't matter because it's in that. That is not true for Node. Node will matter, and if you want to have like different years worth of, like let's say you want to have an Angular 10 project and an Angular 21 project, you're gonna have to have different versions of Node for each one, and you can only install that globally. There is no local package. You notice, like if you look in here, you don't see Node in here because Node is above it. So that one actually matters. And normally, I believe there's a thing called NVM Node something manager, version manager. And so you would have to install that so that you can have different versions of Node for your different projects. Fortunately, we do not have that issue. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but not too terrible. And then the RxJS is specific to this project. It wouldn't matter. I don't even know that you could. I'm curious if I even have a global RxJS. Sometimes I try really hard not to install anything globally, but from time to time, it doesn't even know it'd be npm ls RxJS. Okay, so now this is only checking. So you couldn't even install RxJS globally. So that's a fascinating thing, right? To think there. If you are trying to understand how things go. This is a global install that is checking, and it doesn't matter. Your local it only matters if you didn't have a local install. This is your global node, and there is no such thing as a local node, and it needs to be right. It needs to be correct, and it totally matters. And if you can't, you may upgrade at this point to a higher one and then find one of your other projects broken after you do that. It's something that happens probably literally 1,000 times a day to developers, where they're like, oh, okay, we're doing our upgrade, and then they find out that one of the other projects that they're maintaining, most developers maintain multiple projects, and if you may be maintaining 10 and one of them does an upgrade, it breaks, and then if you do an upgrade and then your other ones break, and so if that is the case, you have to have NVM. You have to have permissions to your machine to do that. So if you're working for like some government or corporate lockdown machine, they're going to have to give you NVM, and they're not going to be happy about that because they want to be able to control every version of Node on your machine, which makes things very, very complicated for them on their side, because NVM is pretty easy. Like you can install any version of Node you want. So how they get around all that and get all that working for you, I don't know. But I know they don't want you to just be able to install any version of Node on your machine. It could easily be like a backdoor to your machine. So somebody, like if somebody can get a version of NVM that has some sort of problem, that some sort of security issue, and they can get some version of Node onto your machine, that is a serious security situation. And then RxJS is a library. You couldn't load that globally if you wanted. I don't think there is an npm install like RxJS that gives you a global. Maybe it does, but it would still be a node. It still would be in a node module somewhere. It's not the actual application. So that is that. Let's see. This is a be fun one to read. Angular 21's breaking changes from release are typically minor. Possible stricter template type checking. Yeah, I could see that one. So in the templates itself, we might get some, like, if you go in here, like in here, where we're saying like this, like, or yeah, where we go, like it could be like where we probably have a very good chance of running into an issue like this will be in our components, probably like in our layouts. Like here. Like it could say, oh, a renderer doesn't have a renderer ID or something like that, even though it does. So I could see something like that breaking. Our ST renderer is strongly typed with an ST renderer ID, so we should be okay. But yeah, I could see that one. Updated build outputs. I can't remember if we're using server. I do not think we're using SSR. I do have one project I think that I am using SSR in, and I don't like it. The development experience, it doesn't work consistently when it reloads and things like that. So remove it of legacy APIs. Okay, so I can see that we probably won't. Okay, so this update. So we'll do this, and it will probably let us do this, but it probably won't let us do this. It may let us do this. Actually, it's interesting that we do this. It probably won't let us do this without committing whatever that is, and that's why we kind of need to put this in its own branch, because if something is different, if we're like, oh crap, now I wanted to do something a little different here, we're kind of stuck with it because we have a thing. I probably will. Let's do this. Git checkout -b getting started, and then ng 21 upgrade. I just don't want to forget to do this tomorrow. I would hate to be all excited, get going, and then all of a sudden I'm like, but we're basically saying we're going in Git, we're saying, hey, check out, and then we put the -b flag on it, which means to create the branch. And I think as an American English speaker, that feels backwards to me. It seems like I should be like Git branch -co, like check out, and then the name of the branch. But they're saying Git check out, which is like in the future after you create the branch. So there's something. Git has these little idiosyncrasies that make it very difficult for me to wrap my head around. And I don't think it's just me, because like everyone I know really struggles with Git. Now, Git, CSS, there's a few technologies that I'm pretty good at that really help me sort of be valuable wherever I work. So I do appreciate Git. So when I run that, I think it's going to pull in a bunch of code, and then it's going to make changes to my packages files, probably changes in my node modules and all that. It's probably going to take a while. And then if I do this, then if I try to do this, then when I do this, it's going to say you have to commit. Your code is not committed, so it's going to make me commit, and then the CLI. Okay. Now it's saying I probably won't need to do that, but what I'll probably need to do is take a quick look in my packages and just make sure that everything seems right. That like these are all 21. Sometimes it kind of leaves some of these behind, and if if that is the case, then we have to manually do it. We'll have to double check that we have greater than that. We can't double check that. We'll do this. I feel like this was actually should have been the first step, not the fourth step. And then this is probably, I think it's unlikely we'll have any of these. It's possible, but seems like 4 should come first. In practice, should come first when updated. Why didn't you? Why would you do that to me? Why would you do that to us? Why would you tell us to do step 4, not first? Angular update schematics assumes that you're writing the correct. Like, why would that be? Yeah, so this would probably what we should do is node version, but we just did it. Confirm the local TypeScript version. Oh, so that's interesting. So I guess if you use npx, and then we're good on this 5.7 or okay. See, that is so much better, I would think. And then this one, I guess it doesn't handle that, so you need to make sure. Rx. So it's saying 7.81 and we have 7.80. So this is my RxJS. I think before it said 7.0 and above. Okay, so move package. Okay. Okay. Now is this going to be a zoneless application after the update? No, your application will not automatically come. Here's why. Zone was your existing 20 almost certainly already uses. But you must have actively configure it. So I could create it. But I don't think I want to get ahead of that one. I think I just want to do this when the whole rest of the crowd does it. I want to stay, however it is. I would love to know if there's a good way to determine if, is there a clever way to determine if your application is in fact using zones. Is in fact, I don't know what the positive of zoneless is. The opposite of not zoneless. That's some weird English. Oh, see that? Well, that'll just prove that it's installed. It's Angular, something like Ng's don't all those just check to see if zone.js is installed, but not check to see if it is doing anything. you can patch your own system async to see if Angular reacts automatically. See, then this, I think all these tests, all they really check is to see if it's available, not necessarily that you're using it. So, I don't know. I think these are, and I think like I am very, very happy with my current job. I'm thrilled. I'm excited. It's like my dream come true. So I'm not like doing this, but I do think I'm into this habit of of digging into these things because these are incredibly good interview questions, um, both on the side of like if you can get into a conversation during your interview about something like zoneless and the future of zones and why they're gone and why they're coming back and all that, it can really give you a leg up in an interview because a big part of an interview, a technical interview, is like how good you sounded for how long. If you can get control of the technical conversation and teach them some things that they're unaware of and kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of knock them back on their heels a little bit, so that they're playing a little bit of defense. Like you're telling them, oh yeah, no, it's so, because I remember this, I had this one interview for my current job. He asked me about zones and all that, and I was like, oh yeah, I used to know a lot about zones. I was really into that, but since all the applications are going zoneless, we're trying to everything. Angular's really moving to a zoneless, and the whole goal is to be zoneless. And we ended up talking for like 25 minutes about the fact that zones were going away, and we had a very similar conversation about modules, because modules had just been removed from the latest. And so we were talking about all that stuff, and literally in the hour technical, it was an hour interview, and a lot of it was just social, but like 30 minutes of it ended up being technical. And of that 30 minutes of technical, we probably spent 25 minutes talking about how Angular's is trying to get rid of zones, and how standalone standalone components was like sort of the future of Angular. And so so they asked me like one technical question right at the beginning about like, because they actually had a technical issue with something not updating, and they were like, we have a component, it doesn't update, and what would you do? Where would you look? How would you try to fix this? And I said, well, I mean, I definitely would probably play around with the lifecycle hooks, and in all likelihood, like 9 times out of 10, ng after init is probably what you could hook into, and that happened to have been how they did it. But I said sometimes that doesn't work. It's a timing issue, and it has a lot to do with when you load in different components and stuff like that within your template. So if that doesn't work, a lot of times you have to use ng after init or after view draw, and but the thing is you have to be really careful with that because it runs 60 times per second, so you want to probably have a flag and just check to see if you have in fact initialized it, and blah blah blah. And generally that will be the blah blah blah. And then the next question was about modules, and we literally spent 15 minutes talking about standalone components because neither of them had ever heard of standalone components. So it really helped me because I could sort of talk about standalone components. And then the next question was because then it was like we only had like 8 minutes left. So he kind of skipped all the middle questions and went to like his hardest questions, and he brought up Zone.js, and then I was just like, oh yeah, I used to really be into Zone.js. Can't speak to it as well now, but because they're trying to move away from that, and which the whole thing is about trying to become zoneless and all that stuff, and blah blah blah. And then they were like, zoneless, what are you talking about? And then we talked about all of that, and that ended up taking the whole interview, and then they gave me the job. And then I worked really hard for over a year as a consultant, and then they brought me on full time, and today is one of my very first days that I got off, so that is awesome. Anyways, everybody, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. It's Friday. Happy coding. Bye.